This is Polykill, where two men, outnumbered by their games and at war with time, undertake the quest of defeating their lengthy backlogs. Please adjust your seat and prepare your ears for the banter of your hosts, Jake and Travis.
Hello once again, everybody, and welcome to... Hello once again, everybody, and welcome to episode 48 of the Polykill podcast. As always, we are your hosts. I am Travis. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at TravPlaysGames. Of the two of us, I'm more into the old stuff, and I do miss, this is random, I miss Justin Long being in more movies.
Yeah, or commercials about being an Apple.
Yeah, was he the Apple or the PC? No, he was the Apple.
He was the Apple.
Yes.
Because he was considered cool 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's true. He's like Michael Cera before Michael Cera got big. I miss that dude. I liked him in movies.
Yeah.
Dodgeball, one of my favorite movies.
Drag Me to Hell, another great movie.
There you go. Jeepers Creepers.
Sure.
Not a great movie, but he was in it.
He was in it.
Made it fine.
Right, which made it relevant.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm Jake. I'm the other host. You can find me on Twitter and the Instagram at the McAxel, and I tend to play newer games and listen to much louder music than most people are used to.
Louder and darker.
Yeah, sure.
More hell-bent.
But I listen to whatever, though. You know, it's not exclusive to that.
Yeah, you rolled up into Polykill Plaza today bumping some Katy fucking Perry.
I did not. It's not true.
Oh.
Like, literally not true.
I do tend to make things up. Well, if you're new to the show, we tend to tell lies about each other, and basically the premise, folks, is that we try to play games on our backlog and beat them in spite of having busy lives.
Yeah, that's it.
We got school, and neither of us have families or anybody that care about us, but we try to pretend that we're busy.
Right.
But instead, we just play games. So that's what the show's all about.
All about. Last
week, we released Collect Call, the third one from Season 2. That was with Dean Lasagna, a.k.a. round_2_gaming. And it was more than just games, Jake. This guy's got a few more things than just video games.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
It was it's mind-blowing to hear about people's hobbies, especially when they're on the level of his. Like, his collection is, I mean, there's no like scoreboard, but it's ranked. It's up there with some of the great collections, I guess you could say. So really neat talking to him.
Very cool.
And this week was his birthday, so happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
Dean. Next week, we're going to be doing Off Kilter 9.
It's back again already.
It seems like we're always doing these.
Yeah.
And I guess, they're once a month, but time's just flying, man.
It is.
So get your shitty job stories in. We've gotten a few in. We want to thank those that have submitted them early. It makes us feel good about our topic.
It does.
When everyone sends them in the hour before, it's sort of a panic, so we appreciate it.
Yeah.
I have some shitty job stories I'm going to share. What about you?
I have a few.
If you guys have some, please go ahead and send those into polykillpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll have the intern look over them.
Yeah, the old intern.
And also, next week, you're going to be on another podcast. Is that right, Jake?
That is true. The Cartridge Club Game of the Month for this here month of August is Journey from that game company, released on PS3 and then PS4. That's the game of the month. So people have played through it. We're going to have a roundtable discussion in podcast form, and that should be going live next week.
Yeah, and for those of you, maybe you're like, what are you talking about, Game of the Month? Well, it's part of the Cartridge Club. They pick a game every month, and everybody in the club plays it at the same time and goes back and forth. They talk about it on Twitter. They share the experience with one another. It's really neat, and if you're not doing it, you suck.
Correct.
Right?
Simple.
It's just that simple.
Yeah.
So there's that. So I put out a little feeler. The intern put out a little feeler there about episode 50 coming up. Now, that's sort of a milestone, 50 obviously being a number that's, nice and round and even and right in the middle between 0 and 100. And it's a big deal for us. We do podcasts every 2 weeks, so it takes us a while to get the numbers up. So 50 is good. Now, this being a 2-year anniversary episode, this is obviously a milestone too, but 50, we're going to treat it a little differently, and we want to Twitch stream it live on Twitch, essentially.
We're going to see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. It could be a disaster, and it could be a good time. If you're there and you watch it with us, you might get to see some of the behind-the-scenes action. You know what I'm saying? To see how much lube we use beforehand, how much cocaine we snort,
right?
And therefore and so forth.
Yeah. Sometimes we get those reversed and things get really weird.
Yeah. things get really, really messy. It's a lot of fun. But out there on the poll, not a ton of responses, but it does seem that 39% of people are like, hey, sure, man, it beats cholera. So that's good.
There we go.
It beats a terminal illness that you can only catch in Oregon Trail. Only 6% of people said they would rather stab their own thighs, which sounds painful. But,
it does. It makes me wonder why they're responding to this. So, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I appreciate the honesty. And 33% of the people that voted said they just wanted to vote. You know, I get it.
Yeah.
I'm all the time voting on shit I don't care about on Twitter just because.
You get that notification. It's like, poll's over.
Yeah.
How'd I do?
My team won. You know? So there's that. So if you guys have Twitch streamed a show before, you have any tips for us, send those in.
Yep.
Let us know if you'll be there. We haven't settled on a date just yet, but it'll probably be usually the Thursday before the 50th episode will come out. You might have to do some calendar math to figure it out, but it'll be late September, and we'll get more dates for you closer to time.
Yes. Yes, we will.
All right, so let's kick off the 2-year anniversary show, Jake.
Let's do it in style.
In style. Recent pickups and on the radar.
Yeah.
I picked up one game, which is substantial, being that I'm one who just hoards these things, right?
Yes.
I even went on vacation and didn't buy a game the whole time.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. Usually out of town is when I'm like just looking for game stores and look.
It's unplowed field.
Exactly, but I'll tell you what now, down in Hilton Head, North Carolina, it's just a dry zone for the video games. There's not even a GameStop on the island.
That's crazy.
That's a true fucking story.
Those poor kids.
Those poor beach-loving, sexy kids that live there. Those tan fucking have better shit to do than play video games kids. Poor fucking living in their multi-million-dollar estate mansions. Look at my hands above my head right now. I'm fucking just tired, pissed off at Hilton Head people.
Just over it.
Anyway, so back at the homestead, I managed to find Nier Automata, a game I was looking for.
Yeah.
Thanks to some folks in the club and on Twitter to point me in the right direction. I found it. The cheapest I could find it was $39 at a GameStop.
Not bad.
Picked it up, and I will talk about it several times throughout the show because it's in like every single one of my transitions and headings, but I will talk about it more at length a bit later.
Word up. Okay. So for me, I picked up two games that I'm pretty excited about. I did notice on the Xbox Live Store that the first season of Telltale Batman was on sale for a measly $10. So I went ahead and grabbed that entire thing. So looking forward to playing through that. Haven't even touched that. I got like the first episode for free on PlayStation when it released a while back. But now got this whole thing, so I'm excited to play it.
Nice, man.
And the other one I picked up today, released this week.
I was with you when it happened.
Yeah,
I've never picked up a pre-order before. It's so cool how you just casually walk in and say, "Yo, give you my game," and the guy's got to do it.
Yeah, they have to.
It's crazy.
It's like some kind of law or something.
I tried it like later after work when you weren't there, and the guy was like, "No, your name's not on here." I was like, "Fuck you!" I saw a guy come in and just say, "Give me the game."
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, if you're a regular. Establish some rapport.
Okay, maybe I'm doing it wrong.
But no, I picked up Uncharted Lost Legacy. I mean, it's not a full-fledged release. It's $40. I think initially some people were saying that maybe they shouldn't have charged this price and it should just be DLC, blah, blah, blah. But I think people have come around, reviewers and journalists, and are like, no, this is worth every penny. Great game. I've heard it's around 7 to 8 hours. Looking forward to it a lot because I do love me some Uncharted, and getting to play as Chloe and Nadine should be a grand old time.
Yeah, and you tweeted about picking it up, right?
Yeah, I tweeted. I was actually exchanging pleasantries with Rocket and Lowe, and we were talking about it, and guess who swung by the conversation? None other than Claudia Black.
That's awesome,
She liked some of our tweets, man. It was
so cool.
It was such a good moment because, I've been aware of her since I watched Farscape like 20 years ago. And, she's done a shit ton of voices in games from pretty much any large franchise that you can imagine. She's been involved with, at least tangentially. And so, yeah, it's awesome. Made my day, made my week.
In fact, if you're sitting there right now and you're like, who's Claudia Black? Go to IMDb and look at the credits list. You've heard her voice.
Impressive, yeah.
I guarantee it.
Elder Scrolls, Gears of War, Uncharted, Halo. Yeah, she's been in all of them.
I guarantee it. So games that we might pick up in the future, games here on our radar, coming out here in the next 2 weeks between August 29th and September 11th. For me, there's a couple. Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle Now, I don't have a Switch.
But you might just buy it anyway.
No, I won't pick it up. But I wanted to mention it because I'm sure a lot of our listeners do have a Switch Eye.
They do.
And so August 29th, this is going to come out. And I wanted to bring up again how remarkable that perception shift was for this game.
I agree.
Like we talked about, it was between 2 episodes, I believe. One episode we talked about how, oh my God, look at this leak and look what they're trying to do, and it looks so tacky, and it's like rabbids. Like, what are you talking about? And then we actually saw some of the gameplay at E3, and it was like, oh, wow,
we realized it was Mario XCOM, and we're like, oh, well,
please,
I'd play that.
Please and thank you. Yes.
Thank you much. May I have another?
And then another one for me is Life is Strange Before the Storm, the Life is Strange prequel.
Yeah, no, this is also one that I'm interested in, but he got into this list before I did, so.
It's true. It's not exclusive to me. We both want to pick it up. That's going to be August 31st. That's coming out on PC, PS4, and Xbox One.
Really excited about that.
Yeah, I'm assuming since it's a prequel, you could maybe play it without having played the first one, but I would just say play the first one. Just play Life is Strange if you haven't.
Like, seriously, there's no reason not to play that game.
Yep.
Yeah, it's well worth the time. And I have one on my list in the upcoming week or so, and that is Absolver. This is a game that I talked about on our E4 show. It's one that I've been following not terribly closely, but I've been kind of keeping my thumb on the pulse of it because it's an interesting looking game. Martial arts, fighting, MMO, really cool art style. It looks like it's got some really in-depth fighting mechanics, and I'm really curious to see how this pans out. I haven't seen any reviews or heard any impressions yet, because I feel like that this is a game that's going to be made or broken by the mechanic. So
yeah, you
hopefully
mentioned that during the E4 cast.
I probably did. It seems like something I would say.
Well, and I wasn't calling you out on that. I'm just saying,
fine.
I've heard other people say that as well. Like even some of the Easy Allies guys were talking about how it's like, yeah, a lot hinges on these mechanics. So it's
true. I mean, because that's what makes this game unique.
Mm-hmm.
And if that doesn't work, then it's just kind of another brick in the wall, as it were.
As it were. All right. Well, what happened last episode then?
Let's check it out.
Previously on Polykill, Trav finished Limbo, Beyond Good and Evil, and Castlevania Bloodlines, while Jake stayed true to his fighting game phase by beating a pair in addition to Uncharted 3 and Tacoma. Dragon Quest Builders 2 and the new Xbox One dashboard book into hot news topics. Trav leverages his southern charm and Jake his soothing DJ voice as the hosts run down the hashtag JustBeatIts. Early memories, favorites, and the best of the first and third person shooter genre serves as the topic of discussion.
All right, Jake. So that's what happened last time. We tied. We each beat 4 games.
Impressive. And retired one.
And that might be the most games that we've beaten collectively.
In an interval like that?
I think so.
I think you're right.
And then we went ahead and killed 2 off the backlog just for being assholes.
Yeah, we're just like, you know what? Fuck you, game.
Yeah, that's right.
You're dead now.
So that was a good episode. Talk about them shooters.
Yeah.
Now let's move into the Hot Jake section. Go ahead and hit that Hot Jake music. Let's talk about these topics.
All right, let's talk about it.
Crackdown 3 delay.
Where's my game?
Age of Empires 4?
Blurbs.
Overwatch changes.
Heroes die.
Okay, heroes do die.
Do they?
I don't know.
Either.
I think I've heard that in a song before.
Yeah. No, it's quite possible that one's going to die soon.
Oh wow, we'll get to that.
No, that's not true at all.
Crackdown 3 delay. Jake, what's going on?
Hopefully something good. This, not to sound snarky at all, but if I may, if you didn't see this coming, you haven't been paying attention. This game was hyped 2 years ago. They're, touting all this cloud computing stuff for the multiplayer, for the destructible environments in the cities. It goes radio silent for like 2 years. We see it again, and literally no one is impressed. I wasn't impressed. I don't think anyone saw it was like, yeah, I need that now. And then, we saw the gameplay footage, and it looked a little dated. The frame rate looked awful. Impressions of hands-on stuff, like this is fine, but it's kind of boring. So I think the delay is a good thing. I just hope that there's enough time to rework the game into something that's going to be good even later. Because, I don't know where the flaws are. Yeah, and it seems like perhaps a lot of the flaws are in the single-player campaign from all accounts. It sounded like the multiplayer part of it was done, at least from what I've heard, and that was supposed to be the destructible environment part of it. Yeah. So the single player campaign, multiplayer and single player, the game's fun having both. The previous iterations were. Yeah. So I'm interested to see really how different this game is from the previous iterations, because it sounds like there's two big
things that are just so different, and they're not on par with each
They're
other.
kind of monolithic, stovepiped, if you will.
And it doesn't seem like they're talking to each other. I think one development team did multiplayer, one development team did the single player, from what I understand, right?
Okay, I haven't heard that. But
I thought that was true. Well, either way, the word on the street is that it's been moved to early May of next year.
Yeah, there's some rumors going around that got bumped to May, and I mean that's a decent delay.
5 months, roughly, right? Because it was December. Was it December before?
I mean, from now. But yeah.
Oh yeah. That's what I'm saying. So they got a few more months to polish it. Hopefully, I mean, yeah, you're right. They've not shown much single player.
What we saw was just like quick cuts and like multiple frames going at the same time, and Terry Crews yelling at you. Which was like fun. They almost didn't want you to pay attention to the game. They wanted you to say, "Oh, Terry Crews," and laugh at him.
Yeah, which sort of worked, but I would have liked to have seen more game. Like Terry Crews was funny, and I was like, "Oh wow, they got Terry Crews. Where's the game?"
Yeah, pretty much my thing. Because I mean, I've never played a Crackdown game, but just a bit. I never finished one or anything like that. So I'm really interested to see if people like this that like the other ones, and just see how it pans out.
It's just an orb getter, man. It's all about getting the orbs.
All them orbs.
Oh my god, the orbs.
Yeah.
All right, so Age of Empires 4 announcement.
Age of Empires 4. Now, this is a pretty big deal. Age of Empires is not a series that I would say has been dormant, but it's been, I guess, close to 10 years since there was a numbered release. There's been lots of HD remakes and upgrades and expansions and new, ways to play, but there's not been a full update. So there's not any really details on this yet. It was just announced this week at Gamescom. They're in Cologne, Germany. So I'm interested, because, at this point, Microsoft is all about this whole, cross-buy thing. So I'm like, yeah, are you gonna make this something on Xbox too? Is this gonna be PC only?
Xbox
One
also?
as well. Yes, that's what I meant. So yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious about it, and it's a beloved game. People still play this. It's one of those RTSs that just has been fairly evergreen since development ended. So it's good for those of you who like it.
Yeah, it is neat. It's kind of cool to. Well, it's actually very surprising that number is just 4.
I agree.
I feel like we should be at Age of Empires 15 by now.
16, yeah, like a Sonic or a Mega Man or something.
Yeah, so 4, it just seemed more substantial when it's a lower number for some reason. It's just like 4. Like this is, and it'll probably be a clean slate beginning, because Age of Empires 2 and 3 have had these iterative releases.
They were almost just reskins of the first one anyway. So
yeah, so it'll be cool to see how they take it. And you're right, like I would be interested to see if they could adapt it to a console like they've done
Halo Wars,
even City Skylines. There's another one, Civilization, has some releases, so it can be done.
Yeah, it can be done.
Can be done.
We'll see.
Jake, you're the Overwatch expert here on the show. What's changing about it?
Well, man, in the last week and a half, there's been so much been pumped out about Overwatch. There's a new map. Okay, new map coming. Junktown.
Okay. Jumptown?
Junktown, I think.
Junkertown.
Maybe
Junkertown.
Yeah, I think it's Junkertown. This is a map that's sort of specific to 2 characters, Junkrat, and his name escapes me because I never play him. Anyway, which is awful. I should know it.
You're the expert.
Anyway.
I'll look it up. You keep going.
Yeah. So that's new. There also is an animated short that came along with that to introduce the map, so it's exciting. Roadhog. And I just remembered. And then there is some new game modes coming. Deathmatch is going to be introduced into the arcade, which is pretty crazy because this game has never been built as a deathmatch game.
Okay.
All the characters are fairly codependent on another one.
Right. It's a
team-based game.
Yeah, that's why it stands out. That's why it's fun.
They're balanced in a way that makes it that way. So that's interesting. Lots of changes coming to competitive Season 6 in terms of ranking and how you qualify, and the season length is being shortened by a month, so it'll be 2 months instead of 3 months. Okay. Just today, here on this very day, there were announcements made about the character Mercy, and she's been a mainstay since the start. She's a healer. Lots of changes to her character and how you play her and how she's going to be used. New abilities. So there's been so much pumped out of the Overwatch camp in the last month. It's crazy. So I'm really excited. I mean, we just had the summer games kick off. They're about to wrap up. Doomfist was introduced. So, I mean, they've just been going gangbusters over there, Blizzard.
So you said you're excited about the changes, but could some people be skeptical, scared, afraid that it's going to affect,
Of course.
their beloved game?
Of course, especially if you've got a defined way to play this one character, and you've got a little, I guess, set up with another teammate that how to pair these abilities or whatever. So it's going to shift that, which is good because it keeps things fresh and mixes things up. But I'm sure some people won't see it that way.
And another thing too, it seemed in from my little view of the world here, it seems like you have not been playing it as much recently, and a lot of the other friends too, even on the circles that we keep on Twitter, and our friend Brian, it seems like people aren't playing as much. Is that a widespread thing? Is that why these changes are here?
I don't think so. I really think that myself, I've just been trying to beat more games. Mm-hmm. I think Brian's in the same boat.
Brian actually mentioned that the length of the seasons were becoming a turnoff for him.
Yeah. So I think he's going to be one of those that's excited about this new shortened season length, because what happens is there's really high engagement at the start of the season, and then after 3 weeks of heavy play, you're like, well, the season will end in another 2.5 months, so I've got time to go back in there, and probably don't. But if you leave it shorter, it's a little more incentive to get back in there and play.
I think so, yeah, because if you just jumped in, you're like mid-season, you might not have the impetus to really put a lot into it. Right. You want to wait, I have to wait a month and a half before I get, to start with everybody else.
Yes.
So that's interesting.
Yep.
Right, cool.
And I think, a lot of the club people have been playing Splatoon 2 over on their Switches and not playing with me. So
like probably those fancy rich kids then on Hilton Head with their Switches on the beach.
Yep.
God!
Yep. And their Wi-Fi and their Bluetooth.
All right. Well, that's been Hot Jakes, everybody.
Hot Jakes.
Thanks for enduring that. Okay, completed games or retired games.
Yeah.
Not as big this time around for either of us. We went hot last time. Just
so hot.
Beat so many games.
Volcanic.
I thought gaming social services were going to come in because I was just beating so many games. Beating them in the supermarket, beating them in public. Just beating them. But here we are now beating less games. I'll go first.
You go first.
I would hardly even wanted to count this, but I did. Urban Champion for the NES.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a quick little, and when I described it to you guys at lunch, Brian was quick to point out, both of you were like, oh, it's almost like Nidhogg. And it kind of is. It's not the fast-paced hilarity of Nidhogg, but it is, you fight and you try to advance to the next screen, and if you get to the third screen, you can kick them in a manhole, which is similar to kicking them into hell like in Nidhogg, and the same thing happens to you. So you
it's
fight,
very much like Nidhogg, just not as fast.
and it's sort of like it has like a 50s aesthetic, like you're out on the street putting up your dukes, and you're like fighting in front of a candy store and a salon, and it's just bare knuckle punching. It's really silly and simple, but I actually had a lot of fun with it, and I think I got to round like 24 before I fell in the hole.
Okay.
But fun. Yeah, I would say if you got a few minutes, pop it in and try it. It's cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. You want to go again, or let me go?
All right. Well, Jake, I don't know if you've ever done this or not, but it feels real good. I finished Inside.
I have finished Inside.
It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's unlike not finishing Inside. It's very much not the same thing.
Agreed.
But no, I did finish Playdead's most recent release, which was Inside.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And obviously when you play it, you feel the spiritual successor of Limbo, right? It's obviously based on that work. Yeah,
and as much as I really did like Inside and I liked Limbo, they're very different still.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But there are really parts I love about both. Like I can't like playing Inside. I missed a lot of like the violent deaths. I feel like the deaths aren't as violent Inside. Whereas they are, but it's not like I don't know how to explain it. The thing I liked about Inside was like when something was to kill you, it was very ruthless. It came right at you and was very ruthless about it. But like in Inside in Limbo, they felt more tragic. Like the spider just like sticking its leg through your fucking brain. Like it was just way grosser.
That's true.
I mean? Like more it was like more unsettling.
And I also think that the shock value of that in Limbo was not present with Inside because you're probably expecting some of that.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, true that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like everybody else, I liked it, and it doesn't take long to beat. And it's a neat ending, neat game altogether. So
yeah, a great package. Play it if you haven't. Seriously,
Yeah.
it's good. And so that leaves me. I beat one game, completed one title, but it was a sizable, more than I thought I was getting into with Uncharted 4. Yeah, I finished that game now.
Nice, man. It's a substantial one. So you beat Uncharted in back-to-back episodes.
Yeah.
So that means you played the entirety of 4 since we recorded last.
Yes.
All right, good job.
Absolutely true. 22 chapters. I'll try not to go on and on about this game. I really will, because I'm sure those of you who already played the game know this and have probably heard this and heard it all last year. But I'm going to recap my feelings on it because you haven't heard those, because I just beat it. And so, yeah, I'm going to talk about it. This game is like, I mean, you hear it in the discussion of greatest game of all time. It's thrown out there. Mm-hmm. It's put in that discussion.
And it feels cheap when you hear it, right? If you haven't played it, you're like,
it does.
because it's the newest one and it's prettier.
It feels like hyperbole. It
right,
feels
recency
like
bias.
Recency bias.
Sure.
Exactly.
I could see that.
So, first of all, I want to thank everyone who played this game on social media, friends, Cartridge Club people, whomever. There's so much of that game that was not spoiled, that could have easily been spoiled, but no one did. So, like,
That's
there were
impressive.
some really, really good, fun moments in that game that I just had no clue were going to happen. And I'm really surprised that they did not get spoiled.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, that was really, really cool. Detail in graphics and animation, from the facial animation to the body language to the subtleties of the hints of just, you can just read the emotion from the body language in this game, and that's something that I've just never seen before. Like, I've seen good attempts at it. You know, you play your LA Noirs and they got that cool face mapping thing.
Sure, that was years ago.
That was years ago. Really cool. This is miles beyond that. Not just graphically, but just nuances.
You're saying the uncanny valley is slowly
it's
no longer a chasm anymore. We've crossed it.
You know, like, I have extolled the beauty of Horizon Zero Dawn and how pretty that game is.
Sure.
And it's a little more stylized.
It's more of a landscape beauty, though, right?
It is. This game, the player models and the characters, it's just amazing. Extremely believable people. It's probably one of the most believable sets of characters. I mean, granted, I've known these characters because I've been playing these games.
And you played them all recently, too. So this is
within the last...
You're seeing this whole arc. You've kind of grown with them.
Which helps.
It's like watching binging a whole season of something, and the characters are so entrenched. You're them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But just from Uncharted 3 to Uncharted 4 is like such a leap in everything. The shooting still isn't quite perfect, but it's the best shooting mechanics that have been in an Uncharted game. And I'm not gonna spoil anything, but I will say it was probably, like, I don't say this lightly, but I got genuinely a bit misty-eyed at the ending of this game.
Was it rapturous?
I won't say rapturous. It was just the most perfect thing.
Okay. Here's the true test, though. Was it magical?
No, magical is way too fantastical, too out there of a term for this. This was just fucking real.
Okay,
like, that's the best way to put it. And I love this game, and I'm so glad I finally played it, because it was great.
It's great, man.
Yeah,
it's great.
If you haven't played it, you should. And seriously, like, you should play all the Uncharted's. But if you have no interest in spending all that time, but really want to play Uncharted 4, I don't think there's anything in there that would keep you from doing that.
So you think not growing with Drake for 60 hours before 4 is? You think maybe that's why it was so impactful to you?
That was why it's impactful to me, and I'm not saying that isn't the case. What I'm saying is, story wise, I don't think there are little bits here and there.
Sure,
but it's not like you won't have a clue what's going on if you start with 4.
Okay, cool. That's very good. Well, you explained that very pellucidly.
Well,
I
nice. Tried to be erudite.
There you go. All right. Well, that and not to move on so quick from that. I thought that was good. I was touched.
All right,
that's good.
That was my hand under the table, but okay.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. All right. Now it's just time for just beat it. Kang, kang, kang. beat it. So everybody that used the hashtag just beat it, we're going to do it a little different. Last time we did the accents. That was kind of fun. I wasn't in love with it, but some people enjoyed it. I'm sure some people absolutely despised it. So This time we're going to do ad-libs. So we're just kind of going to run through this and just make up shit about basically all that we're saying.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Am I going first?
Yeah, I think you're going first.
All right.
We'll start there.
First on the list, Pam, who invented the tactical guided laser pizza cutter, at Jasila _ finished Roundabout. And I've not even heard. I don't even know what Roundabout is.
I think it's like a limo game. You drive a limo or something.
I don't know, Jacob.
Yeah, I think you drive a limo in the game.
All right, there you go.
Next up is Duke, whose real name, by the way, is Alejandro Cocaine. Finished Star Tropics 2.
Oh, nice. That's a classic. Kyle, who has a charity for American Samoan kids battling pink eye, at Doplick, finished Ninja Senkai DX, a game that we have in a video somewhere in the depths of our YouTube channel.
Yeah, we did math and played that game at the same time.
Mm-hmm, it was fun.
Yeah, Dean, who claims that Justin Bieber's really Batman.
He does not.
At Round 2 Gaming, happy birthday, Dean. Completed the brand spanking new Sonic Mania.
I've heard nothing but good things.
Nothing.
Even folks that are like, I wasn't really a Sonic fan like in the 90s, but this is just great. That's Randy Prescott again, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. I was curious. I don't know any Sonic fans, but apparently you do.
Twitter.
Okay.
Mark, who starts all of his sentences with, I'm not racist or anything, but at Cartridge Bros P2, finished E's Memories of Celceta? Is that how you say that?
Yeah, I would say Celceta, but...
Okay, beat that on the Vita.
Yeah, Celceta on the Vita, so that's why I ram it.
There you go. Yeah. You don't see many Vita games get beat here on hashtag Just Beat It, so that was cool.
Yeah. Congratulations to the Vita. All right, so the following people routinely confuse Ronald Reagan with Arnold Schwarzenegger and remove their shirts at the very mention of pandas having sex, all finished the game Journey, the Cartridge Club Game of the Month, and that would be Vintage at Vintage VG Geek, Rocket, and at Rocket Sauce, Catherine at Flock of Nerds, at K-Song, and Derek at Deej13.
There you go, man. All those Journey beaters.
Yeah, all them Journey beats.
Yeah, that's right. You'll be talking about that here soon.
I don't know. That makes no sense.
Okay. Yeah. Now it's time for the Polykillers, guys. These are the guys that are at the graduated level of the club. They took the time to beat more than one game.
Yeah, they're the Mile High Club of Polykill.
Yeah, the Mile High Club of Polykill. Yep. We'll start with Frankie. He's a well-known poop voyeur at Viper Strike. He got a Polykill, Jake. He beat Severed, Battle Bjorn, and Mass Effect Andromeda. Andromeda, of course, a game about a lesbian stepmom who gets a Japanese handjob for the first time. It's the first one.
It's impressive.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Cliff at Cliff Hikes finished God of War 3, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, Super Mario Land 2, 6 Golden Coins, and The Room 2. The Room 2 is obviously the game about centaurs who have the ability to teleport over long distances.
Obviously?
Obviously.
All right, well, if you say so, man. Monkey Girl at Colette Lev. She finished Journey, like all the rest of the folks.
Yeah.
But she also beat off Eco Fighters on PSP, a game where Genghis Khan wears nipple blades.
Well, that's just rude. Scott at VG Collectaholic completed Dungeons 2 and Titanfall 2, a pair of games that give Ricky Martin vigorous jazz hands.
Live la vida loca. Joe at STC Pod finished Journey, and he beat Last of Us, a game removed from the shelves of Lithuania for causing ass orgasms.
Whoa. Whoa.
In the butt. Buttgasms.
Yeah, that's crazy. Is that happen?
No. Maybe. I don't know. It could.
Sure.
I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes.
I want to say yes because I want to believe it.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, believe it, achieve it.
That's right.
Wow, I just achieved it. Okay, so Brian at Hokey Briz beat Horizon Zero Dawn, Alcoholism, and Diablo 3.
Good job, Brian.
Good job, buddy. He overcame Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, and Titanfall 2. He also finished Transmissions Element 120, a game centered around what different old people smell like down there.
That can't be true. That sounds gross.
That's what it is. I think we got that one in the room mixed up, though.
Probably. Well, folks, that's been your hashtag Just Beat It. Thanks for joining us. And again, take a screenshot, use the hashtag Just Beat It, and we might do something stupid and silly on this podcast with the information you provide in that tweet.
Thou canst never know.
You never know. let's talk about games we've added to the giant pile of shame that we like to call a backlog. I am adding Ratchet, both of mine are PS4 games, by the way, because I got PDPDs at my house. PD being the PS4 that Brian and I both co-adopted. Two dads. Hashtag two dads.
Yep.
We're making it work. And I'm getting, you lent us Ratchet and Clank on the PS4. Yeah. Fun little colorful game. I can't wait to get in there.
Oh, it's good.
And obviously Nier Automata, which I talked about picking up at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, you did. So I picked up Uncharted Lost Legacy.
You can't do much else with Uncharted, or that you can unfart it, you can unshard it, and I can't think. If you at home can think of a better way to sabotage Uncharted, please send those in.
Yeah, please do. Also, Scatman.
Again, poop stuff for me. That's where I'm at. just messing with you with the poop stuff.
Hang with that. But yeah, Batman, Telltale. So I added both of those with the backlog. I obviously told you that I picked up Uncharted Lost Legacy, so I'm excited to play that. So it's instantly going on the backlog.
The backlog. If you, at home, love shit jokes, you're going to love Caltech.
Love them.
This episode is sponsored by Cowden Technologies, LLC. Caltech focuses on product development in robotics, web apps, mobile apps, and home automation, or some smushing of what I just said. To learn more or to start a conversation about your future product or idea, why don't you go ahead and send an email to info@cowden.tech. That's info@cowden.tech. Almost accidentally spelled info for you there, but you didn't need me to because you know how to.
You know how to do that.
It's info in case you don't. Yeah. Also, everyone at Caltech is better at video games than Travis.
That's what I've heard.
And that's my name, so that's not cool. Folks, if you like what you're hearing so far, and we can only hope that you do, go ahead and check us out on Facebook. That's facebook.com/Polykill Podcast. It's a shoddily run Facebook page that Jake is responsible for, and I'm not sure if it even exists. So maybe go there and let us know if it does. Cartridgeclub.org, org, of course, being short for Yeargasm.
You stole my line.
I did. You could say organism.
Organism?
Yeah. That's where you can meet us and hang out with everybody in the Cartridge Club.
What a cool bunch of people.
It's cool.
Aside from us.
It's a free club. You don't have to pay. Yeah. You just go and play the games and talk to the very nice people there at the club, so please go ahead and do that. You can head on over to polykill.com. That's where we keep all of our stuff.
Do it.
We even have a little merch section there with T-shirts if you want. If you want to be bullied more than you already are, go ahead and put on a Polykill T-shirt and tell everyone you listen to gaming podcasts, you idiot. And then send your shitty job stories to polykillpodcast@gmail.com. We'll be sure to check it. We might even reply to you.
Yeah, we probably will.
We will. We're lonely.
Like
please send us things. Please rate us on iTunes. We got a rating there from someone who I'm not sure who that person is. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So, we've been calling out for 7-8 months about this, and we finally got one.
2 years. But we did. We got another one.
Yeah.
No, it was great. So
thank you.
Thank you.
We love it.
And everyone else, please head over there and give us that internet hug and love it.
Oh, we love it.
And subscribe to our Less Sad, Less Lonely YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Thanks to
Mission.
Thanks to that. So thanks to everyone who subscribed. And we really do plan to make more videos that are not just our podcasts when time allows.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. We don't focus on the visual stuff just because it's a lot more work and a lot more time, and that's something that we don't really have.
Several of the folks in the club are much better at the videos than we are.
I watched Miles and Catherine's recap of the Barry Game Exchange. Man, that was great.
We missed that.
Yeah, me too. Where was it?
Barry.
Oh, I thought that was the guy who put it on.
You thought it was just Barry's Game Exchange?
No, I knew where it is. I know where it is. It's Barry.
You do now, yeah. But yeah, so check all that stuff out. Yeah. All right, so moving on to Jake. Let's recap. Let's revisit the last 365 days of long play singing goodness.
Let's do that now.
For the long play. The long play. All right. So the long play.
Yeah, girl.
All right. So the long play.
Long play.
It's time for the long play.
Long.
Okay. So the long play.
Long play.
So the long play.
Yeah.
So the long play.
Long play, girl.
Now it's time for the long play.
Girl. It's a long play.
Yeah, long play, girl.
Long play.
Long play, girl.
girl. It's time for
the long play. You left me hanging, you piece of shit.
I did. You left me hanging earlier, so
I didn't. I never did that.
You did.
Well,
it's a long play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a long play. Yeah.
It's a long play.
The game that. There you go. All
right.
What do you want to do here? You want to do a little Guns N' Roses for this long play?
Wow,
long play. Is that good?
Yeah, that's good.
Is that all right? Now it's time for the drum roll. Long play, girl. Are you ready for this, boys? 3, 2, 1.
Long play.
Oh, let's go again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Long play. Man, we're like the worst version of the Statler Brothers ever.
Long play.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's good.
Pretty good. I think we're back.
The long play.
Long. It's time for the long play. Yeah. Long play. 1 and a 2 and a 1, 2, 3, 4. The long play.
Yeah.
Man,
Harmonious.
I think the Beatles would have been really impressed with that.
The Beatles would have shot themselves out of pure horror that they weren't as good as that.
Well, it is time for the long play. Time for the long play. All right, so it's the long play. No different than the rest of them, I'm sure.
Probably same key.
Yeah, so Near Automata for me on the PS4.
I got you.
Let me dig in deep here now for you folks.
Do it. Do it.
I'm so far liking it. Now, I've recently heard something that slightly disturbs me about the game.
Oh, no, boys.
I heard wind, Jake. You know how I do.
You hear that wind, buddy. You open that window, now there's wind.
Well, I will hear it. And through the grapevine, at that. A windy grapevine, I heard that to get the full story, you have to beat the game multiple times, and I'm not into that.
No, I've also heard that. So what you do, here's how you overcome that. Mm-hmm. You beat the game one time.
YouTube?
You go to YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I still count that as a beat? Would you allow it here on the show?
If you get credits, I don't give a flying tortoise.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. Now, the story is mildly not important to me. Right now, it's just fun.
Mechanics.
Let me tell you all about it. So, like, you start, and I was playing the game. I was like, oh, this is from this, and this reminds me of this. So far, there's sections that remind me of Ikaruga.
Oh yeah,
the polarized color shooter game. As hard as balls, diamond balls in a sandstorm or whatever you say, snowstorm.
Yeah, ice storm,
ice tundra. Hard balls, so it's very hard, but it's not so hard in this game. There's also elements of Bayonetta in there. There's some slash dodge. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Get what I'm saying? There's some RPG in there. I felt at times like I don't know. It just
It's an amalgam. It's a Frankenstein, but it's
I'm just trying to think of all the Frankenstein parts. But yeah, there's an RPG at times. Open world. Go get some quests. Just a lot of really cool. And it's so seamless. Like, it just basically it changes what the game is by just shifting the camera. Like,
it's awesome.
If it's top down, suddenly it's a shooter. If it goes behind, now we're following the character and it's a linear path. And then occasionally it opens up, and then occasionally it'll be a platformer. And it reminds me of Strider a little bit. So it just has all these reminiscent fusion bits. And it was funny because we were at lunch and Brian was like, "So Near, like what genre is that game?" I was like, "All of them." Literally all of them.
Just every one of them.
And I'm moving on with it. So the only thing that kind of was kind of bumming me out was like, what, I got to play it multiple times to get the story? I don't like that. But in terms of gameplay, I'm having a blast with it.
Awesome.
And
I feel like it's $40 well spent so far.
So far, so good. Yeah,
good.
I think I've had about $8 worth of fun. I got plenty of game left.
Nice.
So,
just need 5 times more.
Roughly. Yeah. Actually, perfectly. Yes.
Fun. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
My long play's not changed, guys. I haven't touched the old Horizon Zero Dawn. Very much played a little bit since the last podcast, but not enough to consider it moved forward very much. I really have nothing else to say about it. I was just, I knew that the new Uncharted was coming out, and I really wanted to wrap it up before I got this new one because I really wanted this new one. So
it's impressive, though, that our friend Brian,
he's already beat it.
He's only had the PS4 for a month, and then I got it. So within the month of having the PS4, he managed to buy Horizon Zero Dawn and beat it,
and complete it,
and put good time into it too, 40-some hours. So he didn't.
That's awesome.
Wasn't like he just tried to speed run it. So that's cool.
Yeah.
So tell me about Horizon Zero Dawn. Then you're making that your long play. You're not making. You're not going to make Lost Legacy your long play.
Well, it's not. Maybe it's bad of me, but I don't really consider a game under 10 hours a long play.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
So, because, you're not going to play that for very long. It's not going to be a multi-episode thing unless you just suck at it. So, for me, that's why I got it as a side quest here.
I feel you. I can see that.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah, and I've got a few other side quests here. Bayonetta 2 still sitting out there. Or Bayonetta 1. Sorry, not Bayonetta 2. I don't know why I have Bayonetta 2 there. Did you do that?
Nope.
All right. I guess it was just.
You think I would just sabotage it by putting a different game on there?
It fucked me up. So yeah. But no, the first Bayonetta on Xbox 360 back compat on the one. So that's still sitting out there to play. Had a blast with that. I just haven't gone back to it. Uncharted, Lost Legacy, and Hellblade. So I have those sort of just out there waiting to be conquered.
Both of those under 10 hours. Right? Hellblade is also an under 10-hour game.
It should be around 7.
Heard wind about that as well.
Yep.
For me, I didn't add it to any backlog. I was just curious about State of Decay. Obviously, we got the the announcement of State of Decay 2 coming out next year.
Right.
So I wanted to see what is this hubbub?
Yeah, what's the hubbub?
And I didn't like it, but I think it's because a little bit time's passed since it came out.
Yeah.
It lacked a little bit of polish in its day.
Yeah,
and so now it's a lot more evident. I didn't hate the concept. I thought I liked the idea of it, but I don't know, it just didn't hook me. I didn't care about the character that I was and all the people, and it seemed like a lot. It was a very ambitious game, really. It was a lot, a lot of information. No tutorial really at all. Like it just kind of throws you in. It's like here's your menu, and here's like all these things, and I didn't really want to take the time to get into it because I wanted to play Nier.
Yep.
So that's part of the reason, but. I'm still excited about State of Decay 2 based on what I've seen. It seems like a better game, obviously, so looking forward to it.
Right.
I threw this on here. I did mention Evander Holyfield's boxing on the Genesis. Now, this stands out to me because back in the day, my dad's friend who went by Chico, by the way, Chico, very white, but he was a little bit more tan than the other guys he worked with, so they called him Chico, and that's just
so cool.
That's just where we're from.
That's just how it goes.
That's just how it goes. But Chico, and that's all. I don't even know what maybe his real name's Chico. I have no idea. But he had this stack of old Genesis sports games back in the like the Joe Montana football and World Series baseball and stuff. This stack of sports Genesis games, and he said, "Hey, you're Travis's dad. Travis might like these," and boy, I did. And I played a shit ton of Evander Holyfield's boxing. I played it with my brother. It's one of the good memories I have of him. And I got this BVM monitor, and I was like, I got the RGB cables, hooked my Genesis up to it. I want to see how fucking good. And I ran through a bunch of games. Like I was looking at like tennis. I'm like, tennis looks good. PGA Golf 2 looks good. Like because games I didn't like, games I did like, I was just popping them in. It's like, God damn, this looks fucking good. And I got to Evander Holyfield's boxing, kind of taking the time to clean some of the games while I'm testing them out.
Okay, just have fun.
Hobbyist. And I just got hooked again. I was like, God damn, I remember this game. And it's not as good as it was when I was a kid.
Oh, of course not.
But still hooked me. It's still
hooked you? Just
fun.
Jab you?
Hooked and jab, uppercutted, the whole nine. It's very hard. I remember actually getting to the end and beating Evander Holyfield, and I was like, well, what was I doing when I was 10? I was a madman.
Nothing else but that.
Evidently. And then last game I put a little bit of time in with my father.
Okay.
He came up and stayed a few nights with us, and it's always interesting bringing my dad into the game room. He lives a little over an hour away. He doesn't visit me often. I usually visit him. But when he's at the house, just him kind of being like, good God, Travis, you got $1 million worth of shit in here. Just like being real impressed and not really knowing what things are worth, just being like, I bet it's worth a lot. And I was trying to think of a game, like, what's a good game I can play with my dad, And puzzle, he loves puzzles, so I was like, let's toss Puzznik in. I've played it a little bit, know a little bit about it. And it's basically one of those color-matching tile games, but it's tricky. You know,
Okay.
it's not like columns or anything. It has an element of actual difficulty to it.
Nice.
And we played that, and it was so fun because we started at like 8:30. Tracy had made us dinner, and me and Dad, it was going to rain. I was like, well, let's just go downstairs and mess around down there. Maybe I can find a game you like or something like that. He's like, all right, cool. He's just down for everything. I put the game in at 8:30. At like midnight, we finally, decided to go to bed. We were having so much fun just, the next level, and we were both looking at it, and he was like, what if we moved that one? I'm like, that's actually a really good idea, and so forth. So it was just a ton of fun,
Nice.
and I'm actually excited about him coming back up and finishing it, because I think we're pretty close to the end. We put
Sweet.
4 fucking hours into it, but
Jeez, yeah,
tons
that's
of fun.
Awesome.
Yep. Wanted to tell that little story. So now it's time for what we like to call the discuss around here.
Yeah.
The meat and potatoes.
Right.
Usually what the episode's named after.
Right. The business meat.
Yeah, we spend 45 minutes talking about shit, and then we name the episode after the last 10 minutes of talking. So this is our 2-year anniversary, Jake.
It's crazy.
And I brought you some gifts. I don't know if you were expecting them or not, but I brought you some
No, I
gifts.
was not.
I got you this game, The Evil Within.
Oh, sweet.
Yep.
Yep. This is my copy. Awesome. Left it here like a year and a half.
You sound like you're not grateful for your gift.
Well,
You sound not grateful. I'm just going to say right now, you sound like
I'm
you're
just
not
finally
excited.
getting it back. So
Okay.
I am grateful for that.
I've actually owned it longer than you, so technically I'm
That's
giving you that game.
Oh, okay. All right. By that logic, I agree.
Yes.
Thank you.
I also got you this game as well. This is Bayonetta 2 on Wii U.
Okay, so
Yes.
Bayonetta 2. So yeah, nice. Okay, the disc isn't in here.
Yeah, actually, I was going
and
to...
this is Diego's.
Yes, if you could mail that back, that'd be great. And don't let him know about the disc being absent. That'd be great, because I'm probably just going to keep that.
All right, I'll put like a Warrant CD in it or something.
He loves Warrant.
Already did.
So thank you. So I got you gifts. I know you didn't get me anything because there's no love. It's not a two-way street here. It's one way. So
One-way bullet train to not being loved. That's all I got.
Well, let's recap the last year of
do it.
hanging out,
Let's
Jake.
do it. Let's talk about it.
Major events over the past year. Let's get personal. Let's let the folks know who we are a little bit.
Wow.
Because they only hear us through the podcast. They don't know that we're undertakers at night, and that we're serial killers during the day. They don't know the deep dark aspects of our lives.
Right.
Okay. So, for me, big events. Okay, let's talk about... So,
Big events over the last rolling 12 months.
I survived my first year of marriage with my first wife, and it's been fantastic.
That's fantastic.
It's been great. We've played more games together than we've ever have, so I feel like my gaming relationship with her has grown, blossomed even, if I may.
Great.
And that's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. What about you? Anything big happen?
In the last year, I got a sizable promotion at work. Basically doing what I was doing, but just now doing it on a big, slightly bigger, not stage, it's not the right word, but like in a bigger environment with more diverse kind of projects and a little bit more responsibility, but not a whole lot, honestly. And
Increased happiness, though? More fulfilling?
increased happiness, a lot more security so far, knock on wood. So I'm really, really excited. Work is never really a stress for me anymore. It takes up my time, it occupies me, it wears me out, but it's not like I dread it or hate, I don't hate Mondays. So
That's good. Has it affected your gaming life at all?
I think it has, just mentally, just like mental energy is not as present.
Yeah.
I'm a little more tired, and some nights, like I mentioned before, you go home after a long day, and then add in college work to that, and you just watch TV and then go to sleep.
I hear you, man. To bring us down a little bit, last October, I unfortunately lost my mother, but I do have some gaming memories tied to that time, because being that that's just an awful thing for anyone to experience, I needed to distract myself. And I remember my wife driving me back and forth to hospitals and funerals and such, and me just kind of having the PSP and just trying really hard not to think about anything else but whipping stuff in Castlevania and trying to be clear-eyed and be strong for the rest of the family. So, again, gaming, it's in there a little bit. Obviously, family's much bigger than my gaming life, but just to say how this podcast and what we do here, like I was like, well, I could maybe get a little gaming time in, waiting to something, just to not think about it. So
It's a good refuge.
Yeah, it definitely is. Anything else?
For sure. I talk about it a little bit. We talk about it jokingly sometimes, and I think our first Off Kilter was about music. Music's really, really big for me.
Huge.
I would say I probably spend more time with music than I do with games, just because you can do that and something else. Gaming requires all your attention, so music doesn't. You can do that and drive and work and whatever. So I've just had a great time going to shows this year. Now that definitely eats into my game time.
Yeah, dude, you have definitely, and this is the thing that I find so funny now, because you've a lot of times you'll ask me if I'm interested in going, and I will say yes if I'm available, even if I don't know the bands. But recently you've caught on to that I like to go to random game stores and places, so now I've picked up on the fact that when you're like, hey, do you want to go to have you been to any game stores down in this place? And I'm like, who's playing down there? Like, where are you dragging me to? Yeah. But I do want to go, because they probably do have some good stores I haven't hit up.
Do. Yeah. But not that anyone's counting except me and my spreadsheets. Live, I've seen 75 bands so far this year.
This calendar year.
Well, since February.
Okay. Wow. Since February. So that's not even going back to August, like this year that we're talking about.
No, I saw some other stuff at the end of last year, but this year, I don't know why. I think maybe it was just, I don't know, with the promotion, I have increased funds, and, I've got a lot more leave time than I had before, and, a lot of these people are dying that I like, to be honest.
It's a really good point,
so
man.
I'm like, fuck it. If I have the chance, and if they're within driving distance, I'll be there. And, and a lot of bands that I like that, I don't really think are at risk people, but you never know. But
you never know.
You never fucking know.
It's a really good point. I don't mean to cut you off here, but the concert scene is something that I say you dragged me to them, but I quite a bit like it as much. I'm not on Jake's level of being like into discovering music and even his style of music, but I'm a huge fan of live music in general. And I've let's talk about some of the big marquee bands that we've seen. I think that's cool. That's worth sharing, because we talked a little bit about it on our concert podcast, the Off Kilter, but even recently I got to knock Guns N' Roses off the list, which was huge.
That's awesome. Yeah.
In that last calendar year, some big ones. Soundgarden 10 days before Chris Cornell unfortunately passed away, which is still just mind blowing. AC/DC with Axl being the front man, but it was still fun.
That's so cool.
We got to go to this this, what do they call it, music festival.
Yep.
And got to see a lot of folks there. Some like the Cult was cool, and big fans of Mastodon, who we're both going to see here in a couple months. So it's cool to just get some of those guys off the bucket list and actually see them in person. Because it was interesting after our music episode. The Flock Nerds said, listen to that episode, kind of inspired us to actually go out and see Bob Dylan while we can. I was like, cool.
Absolutely.
That's cool. Yeah, you should. You should definitely go and see them. They're not going to be touring forever. And like Chris Cornell's kind of shook me to where I'm like, any chance I get to see anybody.
Right.
I don't care what state of mind I think they're in. Let's just do it. Let's just take advantage of the time. So,
and it's like in the last, I guess it was last month. Yeah. Like the day after my birthday, I saw Slayer. And to be fair, I'm not a huge Slayer fan. Like, they're fine. They did a lot for the music that I like, and so for that, I respect them. They're sort of like the elder statesmen of thrash metal. So, but like I just read in an article today that like Tom Araya's got sleep apnea and he's really tired of touring. So they might wrap it up. So it's like, you never know. But
see Iron Maiden too. Forgot to mention that one.
Not seen Iron Maiden. And I love it when like these little bands that I like from all over the world just figure out a way to get over here, and they play in these tiny ass clubs, and like the band is setting up their own equipment, tuning their own guitars, running their own merch tables, and just getting to look them in the eye, shake them in the hand, say thanks for the show, hand them the money for the merchandise. Swiping a card at a kiosk. You're like looking the singer in the eye, shaking his hand, and handing him a 20.
Yeah, it
just feels cool.
Oh, I saw Bit Brigade the other week too, which was
in the same place that I saw a concert this week.
Yeah, that's really neat. Yeah, which I wanted to point out, of the 75 bands you've seen, I bet none of them have been closer than 2 hours, right?
No.
That's just a testament to how backwoods we kind of live.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's been any, like, the closest one I could think of was was Pallbearer.
Yeah,
but
that was still
that was
at
still
least
2.5 hours. Yeah,
yeah. So we live in the middle of nowhere.
That only one in the state.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if we can make it work,
figure it out.
Being in the middle of nowhere,
Didn't
do it. Road trips are fun too.
Just go on about that, but that's just
No,
obviously
I think it's
a decent amount of my time.
It's what it's for. It's been the last year. You've seen a lot of concerts, and you have it here. The segue into this other thing you kind of got going on the side.
Yeah. I'll quickly cover this. There was a music website. They covered a lot of the kind of music I like and a lot of different like progressive style music. And progressive, for those of you who don't know, it just means basically it refuses to be defined. Like some people try to categorize it as having a certain thing, like timing changes or a non-traditional instruments in traditional music, whatever. It just means something different. People that are willing to try stuff new. And I followed this website for a few years. They put out a call for people. It's like, hey, we need some writers just on a volunteer basis. Send us a writing example if you want to get in there. So I did and got the position, if you will. I mean, it's obviously not paid, but I get some cool stuff, like I can get press passes to shows, and I get albums early. So
it's really cool, man.
That's cool.
That was cool for you. I thought that was, I'm happy you get to do that because I know that's a big deal for you.
Yeah, it's super fun. Plus, I get, a community of like 30 other people who are somewhat like-minded musically. So I can just sort of, vent
with your people
this way a little bit and not just, keep sending you stuff that you
I don't care.
I hate.
No, I found that I like more of that stuff than I thought I ever would, just based on your recommendations.
Like the other day, I was talking to somebody. I was like, "Hey, I might go see Brain Tentacles," and they're like, "What?" I was like, "It's death metal, except instead of guitars, it's saxophones." And they're like, "That doesn't exist. That just doesn't exist." I was like, "Pull it up." But yeah, it's just been fun. So music's been huge.
Yeah, so excited to see more of your written reviews. That's really cool.
Yeah, I know.
Now, for me, I had a big school thing, which I led on about there on Twitter not long ago.
Right.
I've worked my way up to now being a PhD candidate.
That's awesome, dude.
Which means nothing more than I'm.
You're one step closer to the.
Well, it means I've paid a lot of money, and I'm really no closer yet. It was just an entry fee to be a candidate. Yeah, basically. I tested in to be tested is the basis of that. So that's cool.
Right.
That took up a lot of my time.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. That's huge.
Still managed to beat some games in the mix.
In the process.
Mainly because of this podcast, honestly. I would have probably been like, I would just rather watch Netflix, but I was like, let's beat some games.
Let's beat some fucking games.
Let's beat some fucking games. Okay.
Right.
So things over the last year that have happened with the podcast. We moved full time to a new studio. So this being the studio, we moved there, I think, before before the Yeargasm episode. But this was a full year recording Polykill in one spot.
Yeah.
We've recorded it at Jake's house. We've recorded it at hotel rooms across the state for work because we were working, and then we finally settled here. So it's kind of nice to have this bastion of Polykillness.
Yeah, it's just kind of like this is the Polykill room.
It is. It's
when we go in there, we have fun and talk about games to everyone who will listen.
Yep, it is the Polykill room for as long as my wife allows it to be. Also want to give some shout-outs to some people that have been really nice to us over the last year, really engaging and have kind of opened our eyes to what this podcast has sort of, I guess, really how far it can reach. First was Santiago from Argentina. So he talked to us via email a long time ago, like maybe after our 5th episode.
Yeah, very early on.
And he was like, hey, and I thought it was spam at first. I was like, no, nobody listens to us in Argentina. But he's told us, he's like, hey, I'm in Argentina, I listen to your podcast, it's great, it's awesome. And I was like, oh, cool. Didn't hear anything from him for a long time.
Very long time.
And we mentioned him in another episode. We said something about Argentina, and he emailed us and was like, hey, man, I still listen. Like, I don't, he doesn't interact with us on Twitter or anything, but he's out there. And that was kind of eye-opening. It's like, man, so not everybody that hears us is talking to us on Twitter, and not everybody's on the Cartridge Club, and not everybody submits things. I mean, some people just take it in and then observe, continue to live, and they don't ever acknowledge that, they don't rate us anywhere or anything like that. It's fine. Yeah. But it's neat to think like there's ears out there that we've hit that we have no idea.
Yeah, it's incredible. And interaction is not required. I mean, it's appreciated and enjoyed, but the fact that you're speaking to an unknown amount of people sometimes is pretty cool.
Yeah, like it goes into this foam thing, and then I'm no longer responsible for it, and it just it goes throughout
Pops
the world.
out in Argentina, and what the hell?
It's nuts. Another person that has been really nice to us is JD over at Play and Listen. A lot of interaction from him. He does his own little podcast, and he claims that we're partially responsible for inspiring him to do his Play and Listen podcast, which has become fantastic. He showcases a lot of gaming music. He's very good at talking about it, and he's had some really good guests on there. Even recently, you remember when we did our Metroid Metal? I shared a song. Yeah. He had Stimmage, the guy that writes and composes all that, on his show talking to him. So that was really cool. So JD's come a long way, and I'm excited to do some collaborations with the JD coming up soon. So we appreciate all of the good fanfare that he has given us.
Absolutely.
And then how can we? It's the guy that's responsible for probably half of our listens.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Diego Avila.
Yeah.
At A Latino Lawyer. This guy.
The man, the myth, the Latino lawyer.
I mean, and it's not just for us. He will listen and provide feedback to really all the club podcasts and us before we were ever in the club. I remember, distinctly,
very long time. Yeah,
I remember distinctly driving back from somewhere with you for work, and we were talking about we didn't think the show was achieving any popularity or going anywhere, and we were talking about making drastic changes to it. And we're like, we got to take this out, and then we like this, but I don't think anybody else cares about this.
Right.
And then we got like a message from this random dude that was like, he talked about all the things about the podcast that he liked, and was like, dude, he mentioned long play. I think he's like, I got this on my long play. We're like, dude, you
used our term.
we say long play on our show. Is he talking about us?
It's gotta be.
And fast forward, several episodes later, and a year later, he was able to reach P1, the headmaster of the Cartridge Club, and now we are an affiliate there, and it's great. It's a great family, and we have Diego 100% to thank for that. And
Absolutely.
I'll try to not get teary-eyed about this, but Diego's an awesome dude. So we thank him 112%
at least
for being so kind. So that was
at least
big developments in the last year. Obviously, Cartridge Club,
huge.
We've also got a regular schedule now, Mondays.
Every other Monday, and that's, I think we toyed around early on with trying to determine when the good day to release, or, there were times when we weren't regularly recording, and like sometimes release days would reflect that, obviously. But I think one of the, and anytime you look up, advice on how to grow a podcast. Anytime you look at someone who's successful, the first thing they're going to say is just make the content and be consistent. Like, that's all they're going to say. So we were like, all right, let's take that to heart.
Yeah.
So, we meet every other Thursday, basically. And
we stack those weekends, boys. We get rowdy.
So, yeah.
And there's not usually enough time to podcast during rowdy weekends. And,
exactly.
The summers especially are rough because everybody's got their summer blocked.
Yeah.
I think during the winter we're a little more... we can meet on Sundays and Saturdays or whatever and get some last minute podcasting in. But Thursdays for the last couple months has been when we're doing it.
Yep.
So it sits in the incubator for 3 or 4 days before.
I like it to be closer, but I also like having that window of editing. It's nice.
Yeah.
Not that we edit a lot, but it just gives it a little breathing room.
This will probably have the most editing in it that we've ever done, honestly.
Probably.
We'll be piping in some things. We started Off Kilter.
Right. That's something we kicked around for a while because we just like gabbing. We'd find ourselves just, either at lunch or, just hanging out, and we just like gab and have these really fun conversations about movies or music or books or, just whatever. And we're like, hey, we should, just have some fun and shoot the shit and call it an off-topic podcast. And yeah, they've been a lot of fun.
A lot of fun, and it's we don't expect everyone that listens to Polykill to enjoy those.
Right.
We absolutely get it. That I know when I listen to a podcast, I like it to be very specified and genre specific, and I don't really care for anyone blabbing about anything else I don't care about.
Yeah.
But it's still nice to have that. To be able to vent that, as a podcast,
as a format, it's not as much. I don't look at it as much as of a service as I do Polykill. Polykill I almost feel like is a service, even though I know it really doesn't add a lot of value to people's lives. But I feel like it's something that it's somewhat expected now by a certain group of people, and
very regimented. It's very
we've got our segments,
systematic,
and we got our format. With Off Kilter, it's a little more shooting from the hip, and it's just sometimes the topics are stupid and fun and goofy, and it's kind of like letting our hair down if either of us had any as a podcast.
Yeah, and like you said, and what you're alluding to, but to make that point, it's a podcast really for us.
Yeah.
And we see that it doesn't get the listens Polykill does, and we're cool with that because
it honestly does better than I ever thought it would.
That's true.
And we do get a lot of feedback.
And a lot of people have been submitting, which is great because we love riffing off other people's stories.
You sure do.
So the Cartridge Club, we've talked about it at length. Being a part of the Cartridge Club, it's been really big for our growth and success, and we've made a ton of friends. And the Barry Game Exchange was a big meeting of a good number of the Cartridge Club folks. Hated we couldn't make it to that, but there's some stuff coming down the pipe we'll talk about here in a second that might alleviate a lot of that longing for the touch of our fellow Polykiller, fellow
touch anybody.
Cartridge Clubbers. I will touch Musty's hair. I will do it. It's angelic. It's probably soft.
I imagine it smells amazing.
I hope he has it feathered like MacGyver when I see him. And think, oh man, just a dreamy eyed,
just feathered in Aquanet.
Man, I hope maybe I can room with him. Anyway, I'm getting weird about
Way
it.
ahead of yourself.
Speaking of the Cartridge Club, we had our first guest on. This stopped being a duo a couple times, and we
brought on some folk.
Yeah, we let a third and then once a fourth into our bedroom here. P1, obviously, Sean, was great.
A lot of fun.
I love that he just gets the show. From the minute he heard it, when Diego said, "Hey, you should listen to this" or whatever, and he did, he immediately got that. We're just a bunch of fart jokers who like to sing our transitions,
right? And
he is a sailor, so like a sailor, he jumped right in, and ahoyed with us all the way through. So that was cool.
Yeah, and the thing that I love about Sean is that he doesn't. Some people, if they make a joke, they have to point out that they're making a joke.
I do that all the time.
Yeah.
I'm very awful.
Yeah, it's fine. I do that too. But it's usually because I'm around people that don't really understand my humor. Because mine's kind of weird and, whatever. But with it, he gets us. And, when he was on the podcast, he was just saying this shit.
Yeah.
And, we both knew it was a joke, but he never said it was, and we knew it wasn't.
Yeah.
But we didn't have to acknowledge it. It was just cool. He just glided right in.
I would love to one day be in his proximity and guzzle beer with him. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
I think, just being in his proximity in general would be fun. But I agree.
Yeah, that's true.
I agree.
And then obviously the Flock of Nerds came on and we hung out with the birds.
Oh, yeah.
The nerdy birds.
They were fun.
They're so much fun. Just, from the time that I saw or heard of Miles and how bubbly and charismatic he was, and then listening to Catherine try to reel him in, it was just
so good.
It's so reminiscent of my home life. I was like, I love these people. They're like a mirror reflection. So it was great to have those guys on.
It was quite fun.
Collect Calls made a comeback too.
Yeah, there was some clamor for that.
Yeah, with a podcast our size, even 4 to 5 emails that say, "Hey man, where's this show?" was a big deal. You know, it's like that maybe represents a few other people that were just bummed about it and never took the time to send out an email. So it was kind of cool to have people like something that I have done so much that they had to ask me if I was doing more of it.
That is cool.
It was just neat and rewarding. And I felt like I couldn't disappoint. So thankfully, to harp on the Cartridge Club, thankfully I had met some new cool people that had a lot of neat things, stored in their homes. And so far we've had all 3 of them have been. Now, the next 2, to give you a little inside information, are not Cartridge Clubbers.
What?
But the first 3, obviously we had Eric, Mighty Q Dog, and then Scott, VG Collectaholic, and then recently Dean at round2_2 gaming_2 gaming. Happy birthday, Dean. So that's been a lot of fun. So the Collect Calls came back for season 2. Don't know if there'll be a season 3, but maybe. Send me enough emails. Could happen.
Who knows?
Jake, let's briefly talk about favorite podcast moments. Do you have one?
I loved, not to beat the dead horse that was, drug out and drawn and quartered there in the Twitter exchanges, but those guest appearances, they were a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's just cool to talk to those people.
It just brought a different kind of energy, and it was something that we haven't done. I really think that just my off the cuff remark, because when you were bringing up what Frankie said.
You talking about Flock of Nerds episode?
Yeah, the Flock of Nerds episode. You brought up what Frankie said something about, and you said, Frankie said, and I said, relax. And, I just hear Miles just lose it.
Even in the video, he leaves.
Yeah, he leaves. And, making people laugh is euphoric, and everyone wants to do that. And to actually be able to do that is just always a blast, especially when it's that, memorable.
And in the moment. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Let's harp on why we call these episodes Yeargasm. And it all stemmed from something that we cut because we were prudish at the time and we didn't really know our audience, honestly.
That's true. We were still in a bubble.
Yeah, and this was the memorable one because we were recording this in a hotel room.
Yes, on a work trip.
And the night was done, and we gotten some beers and gone back to the hotel room and said, "Hey, let's do this Polykill thing we've been doing." Help. Yeah, but we were looser, and I think I was talking about opening a Game Boy for the first time.
Yep, that's exactly. Yeah,
and
never forget it.
And I made the remark that I immediately regretted after I said it.
Oh yeah.
Because I didn't mean it how I said it, but I said I opened it and immediately kidgasmed, which was my way of saying I went nuts and I was very happy as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I had to throw the word gasm on there, and then, much like Miles, we leaned out of the seats and hee-hawed for a long time.
Very long time.
And then we cut that from the podcast because we're like, maybe kidgasm, maybe that's not okay.
Not quite PC.
Yeah, but, Yeargasm, here we are.
Here we are.
And that brings me to my favorite podcast moment of the last year. Maybe it's yours too. I don't know, but
it's up there.
Should we just pipe it in?
I mean, yeah, we can do that, right?
Yeah, I think so. Super Mario RPG. Remember last episode?
You were jazzed. You were enjoying it. Having fun.
I was tits on cake about it. I loved it. It was it had a sense of humor. Had a lot of references and little Easter eggs about other games in Nintendo.
Right.
And it was just so good. It was so good.
Yeah.
Weird thing happened though.
What happened?
So when I pulled out this card originally, there were 3 other saved games. There are 4 game slots on the game. 4 save slots. Okay. Follow me here.
1, 2, 3, 4. Got it.
There's 4. 2, 3, and 4 were already used.
Okay.
Now,
so you said I'm not using those.
Well, here's the thing. Usually when I pull an old game off the shelf, I put it in before I save anything. I see if there's any saves existing. If there's a save existing, I know the battery's good.
Okay.
I don't need to change the battery.
That's a check for you.
Remember Beyond Oasis?
Yeah. Open cart surgery.
Dumb.
Yeah.
Dumb. I lost 4 hours.
Yep.
Never again. But I saw game saves already on. I said, "Oh, this battery's good. I can go ahead and play."
Yeah.
I played and saved for up to 6 or 7 hours of gameplay over a number of nights.
Okay.
My game save was always there.
Yeah.
One night I go down, I put it in my Super Nintendo, turn it on like I always do, kick back, take a swig of beer,
Okay.
pet my cat.
Yeah.
Only game save 3 is there. I've only been saving in slot 1.
Oh.
Only 3 is there. Only
That's
number
bizarre.
3.
It doesn't seem like a battery
1, 2, and 4
issue.
are gone. Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah.
So I freak out. I say, "What in the fuck?"
Correct.
I turn it off. I take it out.
Blow it on.
Give it a scrubbing.
Okay.
You know what you do. You know how you do these old games. You got to scrub them down.
Wire
I said,
brush.
maybe it was just, maybe the contacts are bad.
Yeah.
Put it back in.
Yeah.
Number 3 is the only one still there. Now I'm like, fuck again.
Yeah.
This is getting serious.
$2.
So, yeah. Exactly.
Up to $2.
So I'm like, maybe, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm like, maybe the battery's just not in there good enough. So
It sounds like a bad text-to-speech engine. It's just in,
yeah,
maybe.
Yeah. So I take,
Go on.
I take 3 to 5 more swigs of beer, pet the cat harder, get my bits out, take the board out. I'm holding it. I don't know what's going on. I'm holding it. There's
You got your bits out.
I got my bits out. There's the screw bits.
I know what you meant.
There's serial numbers on things. I'm like, those look good. Those are probably right.
They're non-sequential. That's important.
It's fine.
I don't know.
Flip it up. Battery. Isn't that good? Like I don't remove it. I don't take it out. But I'm like it. Things are touching the other things. It's exactly what I expected. So
Okay.
I put it back. I'm like, nothing happened here. I cleaned it more.
Okay.
I was like, I'm already taking it out. I clean it harder. I put it back in the Quit laughing. You're ruining the episode. Anyway. Excuse me. I put it back in the plastic. I put it back in the Super Nintendo. Now there's no saves on it. They're all gone. I've ruined them all. So I take it and I say, fuck this.
Like that bit, like your delivery, your storytelling in that moment is like top fucking tier. It's like probably the best story you've ever told on this podcast.
I know, it wasn't even like it's not like I scripted it.
It was your cadence, and yeah.
I'm still honestly sad. I'm not going back to the game. I mean, it had an effect on me.
Hell.
But yeah,
traumatic.
You were pushing it along too with your quips, and then when you start laughing, I just can't hold it in.
Yeah.
I'm laughing as hard as you are, but I'm accusing you of ruining the podcast because you're laughing too hard. What a cool moment!
It was good.
All right, what are our goals for next Yeargasm? What are we going to be talking about?
Hopefully, realistically, I guess, hopefully. No, I'm just messing around. I think we'll have more guests.
Yeah.
On Polykill proper. I think we'll be talking about that. I think we'll be talking about this maybe super secret thing that might or might not happen, involving the club a little bit.
Jake,
we'll be talking about that.
I think it's happening now. We've not sealed down a date, and it's really no longer a secret because we learned that people actually need to plan for these things. So
fair enough. Are we breaking it?
No, people already know.
No. Well, I mean, are we going to stop acting goofy and actually just talk about it?
We're going to talk about it.
All right.
It's Chicago in 2018. Now,
Chicago 2018.
Us here at Polykill, especially in reference to the Cartridge Club, and for those of you that are tired of us talking about the Cartridge Club, we're sorry, okay?
Yeah,
but
they're cool people. So
they are very cool people, and they're what we might consider our best friends. You may be our best friend, too. That's fine.
Yeah.
But we really want to meet these people, and we're at a bit of a disadvantage with the Cartridge Club because a lot of them are northern U.S. and Canadian.
Yeah.
And that's why they were able to meet up near Ontario there in Canada.
At Barry's
Barrie.
house. Yeah.
At Barry's house there in Canada. And Chicago's still not a short jaunt.
It is
for
not.
us.
It is not. It is roughly the distance that we drove to a concert earlier this year.
Maybe even longer. It's 10 or 11 hours for us, which is, again, Jake goes to concerts 2.5 hours away, even if he doesn't really like the band. That's a quick trip for us here.
Yeah.
So it's a big enough deal that we got to plan it out, a year in advance.
Right.
So we're going to all meet in lovely Chicago. We're trying to throw it together. We're trying to really nail down a date. We're trying to nail down a location. And even if we're unable to get a hotel location, we'll still meet somewhere.
Denny's.
And hang out. There's no stopping us now. So we're looking forward to that. So even if you're maybe you're in the Chicago area and you just listen to the podcast, we still want to meet you. So if you want to come to that, that'd be great. That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
we'll be there. There's going to be live podcasts. A lot of the, I don't know who ell's coming, but a lot of the club podcasts are going to be putting on a live show there. That includes me and Jake. It'll be real awkward and weird.
It'll be fun.
It's kind of why we're doing the Twitch one to see how it works with an audience.
Yeah. Not the same.
We're going to hopefully have some vendors there, do some game swaps, and we're going to set up a table of games we can all sit around and play and play our favorite games and share gaming experience with each other. And that's, whether you're in the club or not, you should come.
I agree.
So that's Chicago 2018.
But we'll be talking, hopefully, Yeargasm 3, we'll be talking about that.
Yeah, hopefully so.
That's my...
like you said, have some new guests on. Do this Twitch cast here in a couple episodes.
Maybe make that a monthly thing, bi-monthly. I don't know. We'll see how it works.
Produce more videos would be great. Got some great ideas kicking around. We just haven't had the time or a good enough haircut really to do it.
Right.
And just continue to grow organically and meet new people. That's what we're doing it for.
That's it.
All right. Quickly here at the end.
Okay. What are we doing now?
Let's talk about games again.
Okay. We're talking about video games again. Okay.
There's a handful of games each of us have added to our backlog over the course of the last year.
Yes.
And they have somewhat gone AWOL.
Yeah, a bit.
We've not talked about them, and we've not beaten them, nor have we retired them.
Right. They're just dormant.
So quickly, let's maybe just a 3-sentence summary of what's going on with these things.
Okay.
Jake, what's happening with Battlefield 1? Now, last I heard, you were waiting on Amy to have some time to spend with you because this is a game that she wants to watch because she is a history buff, specifically World War I.
Right. And I will say, just in case you listen to this, she might correct you on the history buff part. She's a historian, not a history buff.
Fuck.
Just say. But anyway, I will say that Battlefield 1 is, it's just really been me being negligent about it. That's it. Like there's probably plenty of times I could have been like, hey, I want to finish up this here Battlefield 1. Pop yourself on the couch. We're going to go war,
Come here, baby. We're about to go to war.
We're about to go to wars. I don't know, but it honestly probably will happen sooner than later because I've been eyeballing it, and there's some new updates and all that shit. So I'm excited about it. So I'm sort of thinking in that line of thought again. And honestly, for those of you who still been on the fence about that EA Access thing or Origin Access thing, it's free in the vault now. So go get it.
Good to know, man.
All right, what about you? What about Jizz Forced in My Eye?
Jizz Forced into my eye. One of my we should have brought up favorite sabotages. That's the best sabotage.
It is.
When you turned Jet Force Gemini into Jizz Forced in My Eye. My God, that is awesome. But no, I kind of burn out on it. I found the game very tough, and I think it's the controls.
Right. I would agree with that.
I think it's the controls. I really like the game. It feels Star Wars-y. It almost even feels Guardians of the Galaxy-y.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's fun. It's an N64 game indelibly,
Right.
But it just got a little tough, and I got tired of playing with the camera and the guns. And
I think I brought it up last time we talked about it, which I don't remember what that is, but I do think that they improved and updated the controls in the Rare Replay version.
It's true.
So if you ever want to go back, that might be the best way to do it.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. And the only thing slowing me down is that I'd have to replay a long section of the game, and in my mind right now, it's too fresh, and I don't really feel like doing it.
I understand.
So we'll see. Maybe I'll move forward. Well, about Dragon Quest Builders, it's a real cute game. You talked about it. You loved it. I was there when you bought it. But what have you been doing with it?
Yeah, I kind of re-popped my game buying cherry with that when I took that 6-month hiatus.
That's right.
It was the first one that I bought.
Hyannis. Yeah.
Nice. I think that the reason that I've not been back on that is I've just been kind of in a different headspace. As you have obviously noticed, like in the last little bit, I've been playing very strong narrative games. That's sort of why I've been playing games more. Like, multiplayer stuff obviously doesn't have that. Overwatch I spent a lot of time with this year, but when it came to single player, it's been your Quantum Break, it's been your Uncharted, it's been your Tomb Raider, your Gears, something with a strong narrative, and this really isn't present in Dragon Quest Builders. But that is something that I do intend to get back to because it is a beatable game, and I do love the aesthetic, and I love the mechanics and the music and all that. So, that's basically just it. I've just been yearning for that interactive entertainment, and this is a little bit more choresome, I guess.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Parasite Eve 2. How's that going for you? What's going on with that one?
Scared.
Still stuck? Scared?
Scared.
Bitch.
I'm scared. I was doing well. I remember the last time I played it, it was cold because Tracy was still playing Skyrim, and I've learned that she will only play Skyrim when it's cold outside. It's like,
you think that's intentional?
Yeah, I think Skyrim's a cold game, and that she feels cozy under a blanket playing it when it's cold outside.
All right.
I know because it was cold outside the last time I played Parasite Eve, and I played it on another television while she played on Skyrim. And I liked being down there with her and playing that game because I have somebody else in the room. It's not that Parasite Eve 2 is the most horrific, horror-filled game ever made.
Right.
It's just that it's still creepy as balls. Like, everything's just creepy. I don't really know what, the enemies are hard and whatnot, so whatever, it's fun. Also, while we're talking about horror games, real quick, I just want to mention, I forgot to mention that we played Resident Evil 7 with Brian.
Yeah, you did. I didn't.
I'm 2/3 of the way through, and it's still scary. So, cool. Much like
Parasite Eve.
Parasite Eve 2, much more than Parasite Eve 2. Scariest game I've ever played.
No doubt. Nice.
Awesome. Mad Max. Now, Mad Max being a game that was my first Xbox One game that I ever played, and hopefully I didn't talk it up to the point that you bought it, because I don't think it's worth your time specifically, but I think you should run around in it. Have you ran around?
I've not even done it. I bought it for $6 like ages ago. I think it was around like episode 29. And that is basically all I've done with it. I bought it and installed it. So it's just been sitting in my PS4.
Will you ever play it?
Yeah, I really will. It's just that it's the time, because the immediacy of some of these newer games really makes me excited. And obviously that isn't one of them. So
I would call it a fun game that grows old fast. It has some trite things with it.
That's what I've heard.
But still, the world, it's fun to be in even for a little bit.
Yeah. I recently bought Mad Max Fury Road in 4K.
That's what.
So I might watch that, and that might be like,
it'll put you in the mood. Yeah. I mean, that's what got me at first.
Adventures of Lolo 3. I bought this for you and your lovely wife.
It's hard, man. It's the hardest one. Okay. It's longer too. It's like 4 times
scary?
Longer.
Do you need someone else in the room?
No, not scary. And I do play this with someone else in the room. But it got really, really tough to the point that, Tracy just kind of lost interest because she was like, it's just too hard. I don't know what to do. And I'm like, me neither. That's why I need your help. Quit looking at your tablet and help me. So we gave it a little bit of a break, and we switched over to Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, another game that I forgot to talk about in this episode. But we, once we finish that, we might go back to it. I think.
Okay.
I think that'll be a long enough break to refresh our brains and hit it again.
I got you.
You Telltale now Game of Thrones. You don't strike me as a Game of Thrones guy. You never really talk about watching the show much. Why would you even have this on your backlog?
All right, so I'll tell you true. So I watched the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones, like in kind of real time as they released. Around the end of the 4th season is when I cut the cable, right? So I didn't have access to HBO, so I didn't watch it. The game was like $3. I was like, okay, I might just spend $3 on this here game. So it did, and she's been sitting there waiting to be played. Not long ago, I regained access to HBO. I'm not going to and the wife and I caught up on everything. So now I'm fully up to speed. So I've been sort of avoiding the game just because I didn't want to spoil anything potentially.
And here it has that going for it. Like it really people say don't play it if you've not watched the show, if you don't want the show spoiled.
Say I haven't heard that, but I believe you.
I mean, just Brian told me, so ask Brian.
Fair enough.
He's our friend. You can talk to him.
But so now that I'm completely caught up, season finale was last night as of you're listening to that. So once that is over, I'll probably, season finale, not series, season finale, I'll probably be hankering to be back in that world.
Okay.
And that might do the trick because, it is the voice actors of the actual actors of the show. So
true that, double true.
So what about... Friday the 13th. You guys talked about this, played a match. Haven't heard a beep about it.
Yeah, that's kind of the reason. The hype within my friend circle dropped, and therefore my inspiration to play it dropped because it's multiplayer only. Like, and I really only want to play with my friends. I don't care enough about the game to jump in there and randomly bludgeoned to death by kids down in Hilton Head. So I don't. That's it, and it bothers me because I do want to play it. Yeah,
obviously you cared enough to give it a kickstart.
I don't pre-order, much less fucking kickstart. It's like the ultimate pre-order. But I was really excited about it, and I did play it, and I did enjoy it. It's just I got to get enough people in on that with me to play it. So it's going to take some rounding up. Yeah, I think
maybe we can drum up something in the old club, on the Cartridge Club.
I could, yeah. They got a little Discord over there. Yeah,
see what happens.
Persona the 5th.
Persona fucking 5. So not long ago, I just talked to a friend that who beat it, and he was like, "Yeah, you need to beat it." And I was like, "Yeah, I really need to get back into that." Obviously, Miles beat it, and he was like, "Yeah, you need to fucking beat it." And I was like, "Yeah, I need to beat it." So it's just honestly, it's such an undertaking. I think that it's daunting. And I think part of it is sort of the Horizon Zero Dawn effect. It was like, I just don't want it to be over. If I start it, eventually be over, and I don't really want it to be over because I love it so much, which is dumb. I mean, it's really stupid and backwards because it's not like when I beat it, I can never play it again. But I don't know. I'm just sort of savoring it. But eventually, honestly, there's not a lot coming out this fall that's huge for me.
Really?
It's
a pretty good fall, though.
Big games.
Really?
It's like lengthy games.
Oh, I see.
So,
girthy.
Yeah, at the base. So what I'm thinking is that Persona 5 might feel that here in a few months because, I honestly have, several hours left for my New Year's commitment to beat a large-scale RPG. So I got to get on that.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I got the Fallout out there, got the Witcher out there, got the Dragon Age out there, got the Persona out there. So got to get at those.
Yeah, you should. Godspeed. Good sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, does that do it?
That does it.
All right, well, let's close it out here then. That's been our show. You can follow us together at Polykill. Our intern runs that, and he's a mouthy little son of a bitch.
God, shut up.
So be sure to give him a hard time. I'm at Trav Plays Games.
I am at the McAxel.
And you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Polykill podcast. We're on iHeartRadio, we're on Stitcher, we're on Podcast FM, Podbean, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Subscribe to our YouTube. Just search Polykill because we don't have our own URL yet. We're close, but we don't have it yet.
Not yet.
Rate us on iTunes, please. That's the hug above all the hugs. That's a warm embrace.
That is.
Please hug us there. Polykill.com is where you can find all of our blogs, videos, podcasts, and now T-shirts.
Yeah, and mug, maybe.
And a mug. You can get a mug or a notebook. or a phone cover. You can get whatever you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
With our what I would consider a beautiful logo on it that Jake's sister made.
Absolutely.
Just a great logo. Cartridgeclub.org is where you can find us and all of our best friends. And polykillpodcast@gmail.com is where you can send those shitty job stories. And anything else you just kind of want. Maybe it's bigger than a tweet.
Yeah.
Go ahead and shoot it on over.
Maybe it's 142 characters. And you're like, fuck, I got to email this now.
Got to email it or DM it or whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But there's the email address if you want it. That's been our show. We'll see you here in a couple weeks.
Peace.